first episode of 2019. I'd like to thank everyone for participating in this with me. I'd like to thank everyone who's been tuning into Metal Matters. Podcast is doing well. And now I have a pretty clear idea about some of the stuff that I want to do on Everything Went Black. And to kick things off, I have my good friend, old friend, Ryan Patterson. I've known Ryan for over 2 decades at this point. Ryan was in a band called the National Acrobat when I met him in Louisville back in like 1997 when my old band Anodyne was on tour. It might have been one of our first tours, actually. Since then, Ryan has gone on to do Coliseum, Black God, Black Cross, and now he has Fotocrime. It's a relatively new band. They have 2 EPs out, Always Hell and Always Night, as well as an LP called Principle of Pain that came out last year. And Ryan put that out on Auxiliary Records, his own record label. And Ryan and I get into all that stuff and more. Before we get into the episode, I'd like to encourage everyone to share this on their social media, tell their friends about it, and also to leave reviews, star ratings, all that stuff on Apple Podcast. That helps everything out. And if you want to support the podcast, please feel free to check out our Patreon. If you don't know what that is, essentially you can pledge as little as $1 a month. You have the opportunity to continue or not continue past 1 month. And as a result, you will get bonus content, which people that have joined will tell you that it's all pretty cool stuff. So anyway, on to the episode, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too.
Did you have a good holiday?
Yeah, I did. It was actually really chill. Stayed in town and saw family, and yeah, it was really nice.
You guys wrapped up some touring towards the end of the year, it looks like.
Yeah, in September we went to Europe for about a month. It was our second headlining tour, and right after that we did a few shows with Russian Circles in the States.
That must have been pretty rad.
Yeah, it was great. The European tour was awesome. It was like our first European tour was the previous fall of 2017, and this one was a step up. Like, we had some like noticeably better shows. We had a couple stinkers too, but that's to be expected. And then coming back and doing a few with Russian Circles was really nice and like super relaxing. And yes, it was great, man.
Cool. Before we get into the music stuff, I have to say, man, it's been a while since I've actually seen you in person. However, based on the photographs I've seen, you look like a completely different guy now. And I'm big on fitness and all this stuff. So, good work, man. But also, what was your approach, man? Seriously, because you look like so fit right now.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, basically in the last year, 2 years, like everything in my life has changed, right? Like, I've lost nearly 100 pounds, got a new band, through that I got divorced, like just kind of like everything in life has been like totally spun out. And yet there's a lot, that's the same, like a lot of, friends and family and things like that are still consistent, of course.
Right.
But like at the end of 2016, I was like over 300 pounds and I just could not break the cycle. Like for years I'd tried to run and exercise and like never stuck with it and felt insecure about it and just ate like a motherfucker all the time.
Right.
And so I was like, if I was 39 and I was like, if I don't fucking change, like this is my life forever, right? Like this will be me forever. I'll get diabetes. I'll have heart disease. Like, and it was weird because it didn't feel like it impeded my life, but it totally did. And if for no other reason than it impeded like my brain function and how I interacted with other people.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
So like the nuts and bolts of it is at first I just went to this kind of cheesy little gym in like a yuppie loft area that's kind of near my house, and paid a personal trainer a lot of money and just started super low, like just circuit training. And so for a few months I did that, and then I started doing a little exercising on my own between that, and then I started exercising more, changing the way I ate, like tried to cut out unnecessary carbs, like I generally don't eat like bread, try to cut out most sugar. I was a guy who ate like a pint of ice cream 4 nights a week,
Sure. Yeah. That's a lot of sugar, definitely.
Yeah. I never drank sugary sodas, but I was like completely addicted to diet sodas, which fucks with your insulin and fucks with your cravings. So I did that for a while, and then after like 4 months of that, I saw a little bit of change, but then I went to this kind of DIY gym here that does a lot of like, I don't know, they kind of do like movement and obstacle course shit, and all that stuff wasn't really my vibe. But there was a kid there who was a college kid who was a new trainer there, and he taught me weightlifting. Okay. So he was just teaching me squats and deadlifts and cleans and like real basic shit. And between that, doing circuits, and then shit changed fast. Like I started dropping weight and I was working out. Between that, my mental state completely changed. Like anxiety leveled off, started to disappear for long periods of time. Like when I would take breaks to go on tour, I'd still exercise a little bit, but like during those breaks, I would lose a lot of weight. Because I kind of feel like touring, when you're heavy, at least for me, like I would think like, oh, I'm exercising, I'm lifting gear, and I'm working hard on stage, and I was, but I was still eating a fuck ton of food. Yeah,
definitely, man, and not high quality food. It's like those, like the quick stuff, stuff you can find at a gas station, like chips and bread and whatnot. Yeah.
7-Eleven fucking Slurpee every night after the show, and my metabolism was super slow because I wasn't exercising hard other than tour, so nothing was happening. But now when I go on tour, I drop weight fast because I'm working fucking hard on stage for an hour, sweating my ass off. So even with like some basic stuff like body weight stuff on tour, I'm still dropping weight and staying in shape. So that's been it. Eventually I stopped with the trainer, just do circuit training and weightlifting, and a little bit of cardio 5 to 7 days a week. And then a couple months ago, I started doing like PT again with an old punk dude in his garage, like an old guy from the scene from here. He moved back into town, and he trains like boxing and like some kung fu stuff, but I don't do any of that. I just do like circuit training. I actually just left that.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Half an hour ago. And so he just annihilates me for an hour, in a way that I can't make myself do, like when you get super winded, you take too long of a break or whatever. So,
right. Yeah, definitely.
So he's doing that, and I'm mixing that with my weightlifting shit. And, it's good, man. It changed my life for sure in like every fucking way possible. And, so I've been trying to like talk to people about it. Like people ask me about it, I kind of tell them what I'm doing. It requires a huge commitment, but anybody can do it.
Yeah, well, it becomes more of a lifestyle as opposed to, I think that's kind of the operative where people look at it as less as like dieting and working out as like a lifestyle change. You know what I mean?
Totally, man. Yeah, it's the most important thing for me every single day is getting to the gym, or on the days that I decide not to, forcing myself not to go. Like those are the things. Like yesterday I was annihilated and I was like, I'm not going to go to the gym, and it was fucking hard to not go. And that's a good feeling, actually, like to force yourself to recuperate too. It's like every day my life revolves around getting those 2 hours to like get to the gym, warm up, do my shit, like give myself 2 hours to get there and be there. And it's good, man. It's the most important thing in my life. And like, I don't know. I feel like, it's like, I'm sure you've had this too. And probably a lot of people you interact with have this, like, I feel like I'm an evangelist for this or something. I'm like, Dude, I'm like, I feel like my third eye opened up. I was like, holy fuck. Like, it's so good. And I tell people about it. And I kind of have a dream of like, maybe one day starting like a community supported gym, because I feel like a lot of people are intimidated by this kind of stuff, or they don't have the money because a lot of it's expensive.
Yeah, definitely is. Yeah. Yep.
And there's like sometimes there's like I know a lot of women that struggle with body issues, and that they're kind of intimidated by the masculine vibe of it. And I'm kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a long-term dream to maybe one day start something that's like open to everybody, and everybody can afford to do it. Like, there's a dude here who does community supported acupuncture, and I've gone there a lot, and it's cool, man. It's like, when you got money, you fucking pay him well. When you don't, you pay him on this lower scale, and he does like free weekdays, he does group days, and I don't know, that's interesting to me, because I like, with punk and everything, I think about community, and like the major failing of punk is that like we didn't all go and become like doctors, and like, like we all stayed as like musicians and did our own businesses and things like that, and it's fucking great, but like to really have achieved everything we wanted through like DIY culture, we'd have a community of like not just tattoo artists and fucking barbers and shit, but we'd have like lawyers and doctors and people like that from our community who could take care of us in a way that's affordable. And I feel like doing something like a gym would be something that is intrinsic to your health and your mental well-being, and can be done for very little money, Yeah,
I mean, that's actually a really great idea. And a friend of mine has a jiu-jitsu academy like that. It's all donation based, and
okay.
He has like suggested amounts of money per day or for a year or monthly or whatever. And he's the only school I know of in the New York area that operates that way, and he's thriving.
Cool.
And he opened up a second location. He started out in Bushwick, and I went there in the beginning a couple times, but I trained at a different place. But and he's like a top level guy, and it's the same deal. And no one, you can go there and train for free, but no one, everyone pays something. And I think that sort of DIY community aspect. And none of these guys know, I mean, Alex knows about like punk, but most of the dudes that train there aren't guys from, like our scene of, the DIY hardcore scene. They're just
right.
different people, but they still have that sort of community vibe of like, all right, great, we have the option not to pay, but we're going to contribute, you know what I mean? And
right.
it's such a great thing, and I wish more places would be like that, and
yeah.
Unfortunately, in a place like New York City, there's like the overlord of,
of course,
of the rents and real estate and all that. So that makes it a little bit harder to do, but it can be done though,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing here, is that things are still pretty cheap, and you can find cheap spots. And I mean, the dude I'm going to right now in his garage, it's like, it's one-on-one, it's low key, but it's just in his garage, so it's accessible and it's easy. And I don't know, it's something I think about for the future. I don't know, we'll see where that pans out, but it's a thought that pops in my head a lot, for sure.
With respect to diet, are you still vegan, or you changed that as well?
No, I'm still vegan. I still probably, I don't know, like I just eat better,
Yeah.
I try to do intermittent fasting when I can. I've been doing that a little bit, like, which is pretty basic, don't eat after 8, then don't eat again till like noon. I eat like super low sugar protein bars. Like, I try to eat clean for the most part. I try not to eat like vegan junk food. And, I was a dude that just ate like chips and garbage a lot, so I just try to eat better overall. And, but I mean, that's the other good thing about like weightlifting, is that like you're burning a lot of fucking calories.
Yeah, man, totally.
You still need high intake. And that's good. It works for somebody like me who like kind of wants to be eating a lot, it helps me balance all that, and so I don't know, but yeah, I'm still vegan, for like been vegan for 20 years and like meat free for, I don't know, 28 years, something like that. Yeah, a long time.
You know, the misnomer about weightlifting too is like you mentioned squats, deadlifts, cleans, like those big movements like that. You know, a lot of people think that you just got to do mad cardio and that's how you drop pounds, but it's actually the metabolic gains that you get from doing those big movements like deadlifts and squats that actually kick your metabolism up, and you actually start burning fat, building muscle, your metabolism goes up, and you know, kicks up your testosterone. It's just like an all over across the board positive thing to do for, you know, physical conditioning. You know, I'm glad I'm glad you started doing this, man. I was like I said, I hadn't seen you in person in a while, so when I was like, wow, man, like Ryan looks great, man. I'm
well, thank you.
Dying to talk to you about it. So I'm really
nice, thanks.
Really glad we could have. And I'm glad that it was like a positive change. It wasn't just like, you know, Ryan started doing heroin or something like that. You know what I mean? And I was like,
no, you know, it's funny. It's like some, you know, of course, like in desperation, I'm like, should I smoke cigarettes? And you know, and you just get like, there's no magic touch to it. And losing weight was the one thing since I've been a teenager that I was like, I got to do that. You know, it was like this constant goal and this constant thing. And I just knew it was like life or death, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I see things in my family, I see the people, and I'm like, it's fucking time to do this. And I knew it was life or death in terms of my own mental well-being. I mean, you know, for me, like, my weight was like a physical barrier between me and other people in my head. And I still have some of that, you know, like, there are things you can't shake and things that you work on every day, but like changing that is like fucking massive, man. You know, like just like you say, like having somebody tell you look good is like, it's a major life change when your whole life you just are feeling like shit, you know? So I don't know. It's good. I'm totally an evangelist for it. You know, like you said, it's like the squats and the cleans and the deadlifts. I'm like, do those big full body compound movements and add that in with other things, and you don't have to run on a fucking treadmill for 2 hours a day or whatever. Like,
I hate running, man.
Yeah, I can't, man. It's kind of fucked up my knee and stuff. Yeah. So I don't do much of it.
Yeah, my joints are kind of shot anyway, but so I do run a little bit. I go through phases, but in general, I kind of like just, you know, eschew the running.
Yeah.
So with Fotocrime, a lot has happened. I think you and I spoke sort of when the first 7-inch was coming out.
Yeah.
And you know, I was like, you know, really all for it. You know, because the tail end of Coliseum, I sensed that you were trying to go in this direction, but you were sort of carrying the baggage of a band you've been doing for at least, a decade, right? Coliseum has been around.
12 years. Yeah, 12 years, yeah.
You know, so there was a lot of this, you know, baggage, positive and negative, of expectations of people wanting to hear a certain thing, and that can oftentimes be a barrier for change and growth. And I've always sensed that you had the stuff that you're doing with Fotocrime was like creeping its way into what Coliseum was doing. But I also sensed, especially on those last couple of tours, a lot of frustration. And we talked a little bit about this, but I'm just really excited to see how things have kind of blossomed in the last couple of years for Fotocrime.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I mean, there was certainly that. Like, I probably, this is kind of my thing I nailed down, and I probably said this last time, but you know, a long-term band, it becomes like a ball and chain, like the history of a band. And to drop that is really nice, but really hard. You know, I mean, a lot of doors were open for Coliseum, even if we were a small band, that aren't open for Fotocrime. And a lot of people that were friends and supporters of Coliseum dropped off for Fotocrime, you know, and a lot of like true friends are still there and things like that. So you see all that, and it's interesting. It's like, it's a sociological experiment in a way, you know, to kind of see how things are perceived. But yeah, I mean, I think more than anything, I just needed to clean the slate.
Sure.
And not be frustrated. We'd done so much, and there were just basic things in terms of like ease of bringing people to a show, or like getting tours and things like that with Coliseum that just couldn't happen, and we never achieved. And it was really weighed on me. I couldn't see the good that the band did. And now I can. Now I'm like, oh, it was this great thing, and I'm really proud of it, and I'm happy about all the music we made and all that. And so for Fotocrime, like, you know, it's still a challenge to remain clear-headed and have perspective about things, but like, it's just nice to have a clean slate and do whatever you want. And I feel no expectations, and I just gonna do what I want to do, and for the most part, it's going pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. At least from my perspective, it seems like it's going really well. So you have the 2 EPs, and then last year you had the LP that came out, and
yeah,
that you released out with Auxiliary Records.
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, I couldn't find anybody to put it out in the States. You know, I asked a lot of labels, asked all the friends I'd worked with before, and you know, that was one of the frustrating aspects. I don't know if it was the change in sound, or, you know, stylistic tastes, or how difficult and different things are in the world of music right now, but I was just like, the record was starting to get old, because I recorded all that stuff when I recorded the 7-inch. I recorded it all before we played a show. So I was just like, fuck, I want to get this music out there. But, you know, in Europe, a great label called Golden Antenna put it out, and they did a great job with promoting it and distributing it. And so in Europe, things have been going pretty good for the band. Like, we're going back in March, and honestly, at this point in my life, like, I want to succeed in the States, and I'd love to like have the band kind of get some headway here that we haven't gotten. But really, if I get to go tour Europe every year or every 2 or 3 years, that's pretty rad. You know, like,
totally.
That's like all I want. It's I enjoy being over there. It's a nicer environment, and it feels like more of an adventure. And so that's kind of my goal right now, and I've kind of been focusing on that and trying to let things go that I don't have control of, and just do the band, you know, take the opportunities that come our way.
But it is pretty cool that you know, that you're still, it's a total DIY like sort of endeavor, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
you know, you're releasing things when you want, you know, you're making your own schedule, and you can spend as much or as little time as you want on recording, you know, and that's, you know, it's like a really freeing, I imagine it's like a very freeing environment to be creating in, you know?
It is, for sure, man. I mean, just like on a stylistic level, it's like I can just do whatever I want. And I felt that with Coliseum too, but of course, like you said, there were those expectations. So, and then that history. So with this, I don't feel like I have to prove myself. I just want to write songs that I like. And I feel like with this general like vibe that the Fotocrime has with, you know, post-punk or, you know, synth kind of stuff, all that kind of thing, like, I feel like it's a pretty wide scope.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, so like it feels freeing to me, and it feels right. It feels natural. Like it's the easiest singing I've ever had. Like, it just feels really good. And I'm actually, like, for the first time ever, like when we play shows, I like kind of vibe out of my voice and like really enjoy singing, which I haven't. Singing was always kind of a struggle with Coliseum. So it feels really nice to enjoy that and feel relaxed about that.
It seems like in the last few years, there sort of is this kind of like new, you know, dark wave, post-rock, post-punk, you know, kind of vibe that's been going on. There just seems to be a lot of bands doing that. So it's, you know, I mean, like a band like Hyde, which is like a electronic band. Like I can imagine Fotocrime, you know, playing with Hyde and like touring with them and things like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, there definitely seems to be doorways that can open. You know, at least it's not like you're playing like ska in like 2019 or something like
right,
that.
Right, yeah,
you know?
Totally, man. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff happening and like a lot of great bands, and Yeah, I mean, there's music that I'm really digging. It's funny, like a guy from a label in Europe came to one of our shows and was like, "You're always ahead of the times, you know, like Coliseum was like too ahead of its time, and now you're playing post-punk when post-punk will be big in 5 years." And I thought it was really funny because it's like, I'm sure there are plenty of people that think I'm jumping on like a bandwagon with this because there are so many people doing this too. It's perspective is so interesting, but yeah, I think it's like a really fertile time for this, and with cool labels and cool bands, and I think what we do is like got our own niche. I don't think it's like there's nobody that's like current that I'm trying to ape or whatever. So I think there's a lot of cool shit happening. It's a good time for it, for sure.
Well, that's sort of the pitfall that a lot of these other bands fall into, where it's like, you know, especially, you know, if you're older like me and you, where we have all the records and stuff, and it's like, okay, cool, right. This sounds like, you know, like New Order, or, you know, I can pick out certain, you know, certain riffs and certain like vocal melodies and things like that are very right. much taken from, you know, Peter Murphy, or, you know, yeah. Carl McCoy or something like that. So I mean, when I listen to Fotocrime, though, it's mainly I just hear like you expressing yourself just like in a way that I'm familiar with, because like I said, yeah. there was already a little bit of that towards the tail end of Coliseum, and this just seemed like a more developed chapter, like in that, you know, creative sort of vibe, you know.
That's great to hear. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's funny with the band, and I think you know, I released the Always Hell single first because I thought that was the most like guitar rock oriented song, and it was like, okay, this kind of bridged the gap if you were a Coliseum fan, but it was also like for sure the most like Sisters of Mercy kind of song, and so definitely. That's something we've been tagged with, and so I hear that a lot, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. You know, of course I love Sisters of Mercy, but like I don't think the LP has much of anything to do with Sisters of Mercy sonically, but you know, we have a drum machine and you know, dark, you know, low vocals and things like that, and so that's fine. But yeah, it's really nice to hear that from you and from people that like know what I've done as a songwriter, that this isn't like I didn't go like discover some record and say, oh, I want to do this. It's like in some ways you kind of end up going back, or at least for me, I feel like I reached a point in my life, and since then I've kind of been going back more to the things that are like deeper in my DNA as a music fan. Like with Coliseum, as we went on, I felt like I got a little more back into like DC stuff and like alternative rock that I grew up listening to. And with this, like, you know, a major touchstone for me is like Depeche Mode, which is one of the bands that like I absolutely loved when I was a kid, you know, really young. And so in a way, it's like more of the sounds that I grew up with. Like the sound of an analog synthesizer is like, just feels so good to me. You know, whether it's like from like a, I don't know what, you know, from like a really obscure French minimal band, or from like Duran Duran or something.
You know, it's funny you speak of Duran Duran, because that was a band when I was a kid. I definitely that was a band that I liked, but like I was also uncomfortable with telling my friends that I liked Duran Duran because of, you know, it wasn't Black Flag or the Cro-Mags or something like that. You know what I mean? And yeah. And you know what band I always really dug from that era was Flock of Seagulls.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
I remember this kid that I went to high school with, this dude Roger. We used to go to midnight movies occasionally, and I remember like we went to go see The Song Remains the Same, and we got there early, and it was like me and him and then like a couple other people, and the actual legit movie schedule had ended, and there was like 20 minutes or so they were cleaning up the theater, and the projectionist played the entire Flock of Seagulls record with nice. Iran on it over that big, you know, theater PA system and everything. And I was like, wow, this is like pretty cool. You know, at that point I was like, you know, just dipping my toe into like new wave and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, in that band, like, you say you like that band these days, and people are like, "Huh, who's that?" Like, whatever, you know. Yeah, they have like the funny haircuts and all that sort of stuff. But
yeah, totally.
Yeah, but they had some great songs, I thought, and
absolutely, man.
You know, and the extended like 12-inch versions of some of their songs have been really cool too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a great time for music, and I'm happy that I grew up hearing that stuff. Like, I think there's a lot of like that new wave and 80s pop stuff, like, you know, like the Tears for Fears hits and shit like that. That's like really great music to me, and stands the test of time. And it's not crap. It's like well thought out, serious music, you know, that comes is a step away or two steps away from punk and post punk. So that's meaningful to me. You know, the one sound that I love, and the main reason that I use a drum machine in Fotocrime is like I love gated reverb drums.
Oh yeah,
you know,
definitely.
like
yep.
Whether it's on like a Bad Brains record or Killing Joke, or like I've been kind of on a Peter Gabriel kick, and then kind of getting it like a little bit of like Phil Collins solo record kicks, because like those drum machines they use and those gated drums they use are just like fucking awesome. Like, it's just a sound that I grew up loving and that I want to hear in my music, and you can't really replicate that.
No, the only way
drummer.
Yeah, the only way to do it is use a drum machine or, you know, some sort of sequencer like that.
Exactly. So that's something that just is nice and comforting to me, and I really wanted with my music.
I feel like pop music in general from the 80s was just a step above where we're at right now. I mean, you know, even the stuff like, I mean, I've always been a big Madonna fan, and especially like that early, like Borderline and, you know, those tracks.
Right.
You know, and of course Prince. I mean, Prince, I think, you know, stands the sort of, he's like a Hall of Famer in my opinion, you know what I mean?
For sure.
And he transcends like the genre. I mean, I think people that like all kinds of music enjoy Prince.
Yeah.
But they're really, the things that come across today as like pop music and whatever is, there just isn't, to me, and this is my old man opinion about this whole thing, of there just lacks like a certain depth, I think, that some of those earlier artists had, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I honestly am like so disconnected from pop music currently that I don't even know. It's like I you know, I heard, you know, when I hear something like recently, like there'll be some artist that I've heard the name a million times, and I hear it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's that. So I don't really know. I mean, I'm sure there are like artists that are totally autonomous and creating their own thing, but yeah, I mean, my perception as an outsider seems that it's all very much like about marketing a product, making something that's sure to sell, versus like, I don't know, you know, I mean, I loved Huey Lewis when I was a kid, and like, you know, and that shit is like cheesy as fuck, but like it still has a feeling of like, this is just a band writing some songs, you know, and even though they're pop songs, and I know they wanted to make their next record sell another 1 million copies, but like it still feels like sincere, like just people making songs they dig. So I don't know. But,
yeah, no, it's that's you know, basically, you know, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
It's funny, you know, Alap from Dialect. Do you know him?
I don't know him.
Well, he's not in Dialect anymore, but
okay.
he was the kind of the man behind all the producing of that, and you know, he did all the beats and the crazy synths they had. And I spent a lot of time with him a couple of years ago, because I appeared on a record that he produced, and and I've known him for years anyhow, just from being in the, you know, New York, New Jersey, tri-state area.
Right.
But he turned me on to a ton of like underground hip hop and R&B that is pretty challenging. Like, you know, the vocal stuff I don't really get into. It's like, you know, the vocoders and, you know, the lyrical stuff's not really my bag, but the beats and the sort of synths and the instrumentation behind that, the songs, it's like, it's almost like Yesu with like hip hop or something like that. It's like really interesting. And
that is interesting.
Some of the artist names are escaping me, but then again, this isn't big, you know, high sales material. This is stuff that's real street level that's happening, where, you know, it's literally, I mean, I should have him as a guest, and he can explain all this stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, there is some stuff out there that it kind of, sneaks by people because it is so underground. And like a lot of these tracks are literally just the artists on their YouTube channel putting it out. It's not even like records anymore. You know, it's like this whole other like culture of, you know, social media and YouTube and all this other stuff. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
You know, it's not really something I know much about though, unfortunately.
Right. I mean, I find that exciting. I think like, you know, like my knowledge of music at the moment, a lot of times it's based on like what my friends are doing or what I see on tour, you know, and there are certain labels I follow, certain bands I follow, but like, you know, someone asked me in an interview the other day what I thought about like Louisville's DIY scene. And I was like, you know, I'm not qualified to comment on exactly what's going on because I'm 41 years old and I'm in a band that my function is to go on tour. You know, my function is not to operate in Louisville. It's to expand outward. And that's been my goal for a long time. But I know there's something good happening. And I know there's something important to the younger people. And like, that's exciting to me. Like I even if I don't fucking like it, like it's exciting to me that there's somebody making something they're passionate about. And that goes for like hip hop or anything. Like, you know, I may not be no expert and I may not dig the sounds when I hear them, but like, it's fucking exciting to me that people are pushing boundaries and making new shit that like, even a dude like me who's 40, who feels like he's in touch with music, it's like too much for my old brain, you know? Like, I think that's kind of fucking rad personally. Like, music kind of should be like should make people of a certain age make their skin crawl a little bit. Like, that's fucking good. That's what my music did when I was a kid. And I'm hope kids do that forever.
Yeah. I have to keep reminding myself of that, you know, cause I fall into that trap sometimes too, where it's like, you know, it's like not something I'm necessarily comfortable with initially. And I'm like, oh, man, then I can get critical. But then again, I have to remember that my parents didn't dig, you know, listening to Saccharine Trust and like, you know, Husker Du and stuff like that when I was like, you know, 16, you know, and getting crazy haircuts and things like that. So,
yeah, I mean, it's funny, like a guy that works part-time with me, a shirt killer, he was there the other day and he kind of took over the Bluetooth speaker while he was doing some stuff. And I don't know what he was listening to, but it was like instrumental, technical death metal, which is like not my thing at all. And it was kind of like, you know, kind of making me a little crazy. I was like, fuck, like, you know, I just like really technical music is like really annoying to me. And I was just like kind of reaching the point where I was like, man, I can't really hear this anymore. And then I didn't say anything, but he was like, okay, I'm done, you know, listen to whatever you want. And I put on Born Dead Icons, which to me is like this really wonderful, soothing sound. And I was like, you know what? This is like a raw D-beat record recorded on 8-track with like a dude who sounds like he just ate a light bulb, you know, like, but to me it's so melodic and palatable. And, you know, it just had this little epiphany of like, each one of us have these things that are like so good for our ears that to other ears might just be total garbage.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, that's true.
And I try to keep that in mind. I mean, my days of being extremely harshly judgmental about music are kind of, I don't know, mostly over. It's like, I know what I like and I seek that out and I'm not trying to like shit on something that somebody else likes because it's just because it doesn't speak to me doesn't mean it's garbage.
Yeah, that's well put. Yeah. Definitely. So you mentioned that the LP and all that material is all written at the same time. You were saying, do you have any new material that you guys are currently working on?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm trying to write the next record. I actually just kind of like rearrange my recording setup because I have a practice space, but I always kind of like set up all the keys and all that shit and the little recording station and then have to break it all down. We practice. So I can just kind of set everything up in a different area that makes it all accessible to me immediately. And I have a lot of ideas and a lot of like sketches and a lot of bits and pieces, but I'm trying to get in that mode. Like I generally write songs every day, like basically since, I don't know, 2008 or 9, when I write music, I try to write it in the like very structured schedule kind of vibe. Like I read about Nick Cave, and he treats music like when he's writing music, it's his job, right?
Yeah,
which it literally is. But like he goes down to his office and he's there all day. And for a long time, I was really into this power pop band called the New Pornographers, and their lead songwriter's like, I write music every day. That's what I do. And so when I'm really fruitful writing music, that's what I do. But my work scenario with my business has been like really overwhelming for a couple of years. And it's just been like, I can't complain because I still have like mostly a free schedule, but like it's been a lot of work and I haven't had as much time to be creative, and we've been touring and stuff like that. So I'm trying to like hunker down and get into it, like move on to the next thing. Like I write, maybe everybody does this. I write tons of notes about like, this sound triggers a thing, or this idea, or this theme, this line, this lyric, this everything. So, and then I just start going through that and whittling down the ideas and pulling them all out. And I see music kind of like I see the artwork I do. Like I just see it as all like, it's puzzles that you assemble and all the pieces are just out there, right? Like with a collage, like you keep finding the pieces until they fit and they look right to me. And with music, in a way, it's the same thing. It's like, where's this drum beat that really works for me? Or where's this drum sound? Or where's this guitar line? And you just kind of keep piecing it together and structuring it into a song structure. And then it shapes a full picture. And so that's kind of how I see it. Like I just have to like sit down and diligently work to assemble the puzzle.
Yeah.
I guess that's everybody, but like that's kind of what I'm preparing to do in full force right now. And I'm doing a tour in March in Europe. It's this band Crippled Black Phoenix from England.
Oh, I know them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're cool.
Really good people. Played a few shows with them last time. Them, a band called Softkill from Portland, who are really good, and we're the opener. And it's like 3 weeks, and it ends at Roadburn, and it should be really rad. And I'm going to do that tour solo.
Really?
Yeah. So basically, like, it's a nightliner tour. The money is shit. And, my bandmates, I pay them, right? Like, it's the band is me and they're in it, but like, they've got a bottom line they have to reach in order to like make their mortgage, So,
yeah, totally.
Where for me, like my whole life is revolved around playing music. Like as long as I don't end up homeless, like I'm going to play music, that's my thing. Like I work to make music. And so for me, like if I lose money, it doesn't fucking matter to me as much as long as I can eventually pay it off. So anyway, like it just didn't work out. Like for anybody to do it, the money wasn't good, or their schedules didn't align, or, they'd just taken off work to do the last tour and they're like, I can't go back again so quickly. So I was going to have some people from Europe fill in, and a couple of them didn't end up working out with schedules. And I just thought, I'm just going to fucking do this alone.
That's cool, man. That's really cool.
There's a lot of people that there are people currently in the realm of music I make that do it alone. There are big artists like fucking St. Vincent, just been doing her tours alone on stage. There are people like, I don't know. Even though Suicide is a duo in a way that's like super stripped down, and, both of those guys had done music where they were alone on stage. And I've never done that. I've never stood on a stage alone. And I'm like, I'm going to fucking do this, and I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to write a few new songs to integrate into the set that kind of feature that, and then also make all the other songs work that I want to play, and challenge myself to be a performer that has enough of a, I don't know what, presence to make it interesting for people to watch it. So it's like nerve-wracking. There's nobody else to take the gaze way.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, man. That's a
Yeah.
challenge, if I can say so. It's
For sure, man.
how are you going to do that? I mean, on the technical side, like what are you doing to do that? That's what I'm really interested in, honestly.
Well, I mean, basically, it's maybe finding some slightly different, not arrangements of the songs, but arrangement of the tracks. Like, there are drum machines and there are some layered stuff already in the backing tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe I put bass back into the backing tracks, or maybe I focus on bringing the synth up a little more. And there are a few songs that I just sing lately, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll play guitar on those or play keys. And it's a world now where people play the backing tracks all the time. I made that fucking music. I'm there to perform, to give you a visual representation and a sonic representation of my voice and the music I made. I'm there to share it with you. And I don't feel like it all has to be created in the moment. And so that's what it'll be. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of like, if I do a song that I just sing, is that like karaoke? And I'm like, no, because I fucking wrote that song.
Yeah, totally.
I'm singing the song.
I agree with that 100%, especially since this is something that in my own creative endeavors we're attempting to do with this next batch of material we're working on as well. But yeah, that's great, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, so it's been interesting, man. Like, this is actually this will be like the first public said that I'm doing that, and I've had interesting reactions of people that are like, fuck yeah, that's awesome, you can do it. People that are interested, and then people that have told me not to do it.
Nah.
And and I'm just like, music's about taking risk. Like, there are plenty of people that probably told me I shouldn't play with a drum machine or shouldn't play without live drums. And I've had people ask, like, oh, well, could your drummer not make it? And I'm just like, no, man, this is what it is. Like, so I just think music and art is about, like, just jumping off a fucking cliff. I think that's always what it's been about for me, is like, can I do this? Can I accomplish this? And so this is another thing. And it's another level of autonomy. Kind of what you were saying about the DIY aspect of the band, of like, I write the fucking songs, I perform the songs, I release the record. Like, now I have the ability that if nobody else can do it, I can go play the fucking show, and it'll be good. So I don't know. It's interesting, man. It's scary, but that's why I'm drawn to doing it, I think.
That's great, man. So I take it you're playing Roadburn too.
Yeah, I'm playing Roadburn. Yeah,
that's exciting, man. Because we played Roadburn twice, and I fucking love that festival, man. It's such a great time. It's like the most well-run European. I mean, it's like the most chill European festival. You know what I mean? As far as like good energy, and like, Walter's like such a great guy, and it's comfortable, because some of these fests, like we played Hellfest last summer, and it was like well run, but it was just like chaos, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just too many people, and I think they actually undersell the venues at Roadburn. I think I was talking to Walter about this a few years ago, how he's more interested in people having a good time, and he chose to sort of keep a handle on how many tickets are sold, like not just cram as many people as possible in there. Right.
That's nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited, man. I always wanted Coliseum to do it, and the opportunity never came. And so for Fotocrime to do it, and do it early on, and like Walter came, he's been at least to one of our shows and dug it. And so, yeah, it's good, man. It's a nice stamp of approval. And I don't know. I mean, I've had people tell me that it was kind of a turning point for them. So, and not that I'm like expecting it to be like our, a grand change in our trajectory of our career, but like, I'm just excited to do it. I think it'll be fucking cool.
Yeah, it definitely appeals to a certain type of person too, which is cool. It's not like, you're going and it's all just, kids into death metal or kids into this. It's like people who can appreciate, I think just primarily because of the diversity of the bill.
Right.
Like the last year we played, Fields of the Nephilim played, there was Goblin.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Sleep played. It was just that band Earthfaust played from, and just a very diverse, but there is like some thread that connects to all of those bands in some way. And
Right.
it's, and that's the kind of people that go to the show. The people who appreciate when there's more of like a creative element underlying everything, be it, black metal or, dark wave or electronic music or, soundtrack stuff like Goblin. There's definitely like a line that connects all those bands. And that's why it's really cool to go there. And that's why, like, people who may not have gone out to see you play your headlining shows they'll check you out at Roadburn, and then there you go. And that's how you get, new people into your thing. It's cool.
Right. Yeah. I'm excited, man. It'll be really cool.
Walter's just one of the good guys over there for sure. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, he's been to your shows. Like he's always sort of in the know about what's happening, and like, if there's some new thing happening that's like cool, like, he knows about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just, I've always had a great time there. It's like the last time we were there, it was a little stressful just because there was like a lot of press I had to do that day, and it was just kind of like I sat in a room with these people for like 2 hours or something like that, and I was looking at my watch the whole time because I was like, man, it feels as though Nephilim were playing, and I'm like, I got to see them, and I was just hoping I didn't, miss that,
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's awesome, man. That's really cool. Now, the label that you guys work with over in Europe, is it like a licensing deal with them, or are you signed to that label, or?
Yeah, it's just a licensing. Like they put out an EP in fall 2017 that's called Always Night, that has the Always Hell single on one side and then 3 new songs on side A. And then that went really well. And so, I asked him to do the LP. And so, he pays me a licensing fee, and he puts out the records there. And I mean, I don't know what the future holds, but like I really enjoy working with him. The label's called Golden Antenna, and his name's Timo, and he put on a show for Coliseum on our first tour, I think, over there, at least first or second. And, Planks had worked with him, and Ralph highly recommended him. And so, he's great. He's a good guy, man. He's like got that German work ethic, like.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Germans don't mess around, man. That's for sure.
No, they get their shit done. And he's doing good music, and like, it's just, I don't know. It's nice. I mean, it's interesting. It's been an interesting thing, like him. And then there's a guy named Zoli, who's our booking agent now, and he's in Budapest. I'm sure he's done Tomb shows in the past, but like those two guys are like the people that have over there, like believed in Fotocrime and actively helped us tour and do the records and do everything. And it's just been really nice, man. It's like, that's the thing about being alone, is like when you're doing it all on your own, it's hard and there's only so much you can do and your resources are limited. And to have people believe in you and help you out is really fucking nice, man. I mean, that's certainly a thing I miss about Coliseum. Like, we were fucking lucky, man. We worked with an endless array of great labels, and like all those people worked so hard for Coliseum. And, maybe this is why Fotocrime didn't get records out with them, but like Coliseum never sold many records. We were like a small cult band, and all those people, nobody ever bat an eye at doing a record with us and putting together the money we needed, which wasn't much, but like it was enough. And so doing it on my own, it's been a fucking challenge. I mean, I've done it. I put out the record myself because that was it. Like, I wasn't going to fucking sit and wait or not release a record. But having that support network is really fucking nice, man. And those two guys in Europe have been really, I don't know, I'm just really thankful for them. Like I can't thank them enough for helping the band, and actually the guys at Nomads of Prague, like,
oh yeah, those guys are cool.
Yeah. Like they've helped out in like in logistical ways and financial ways. And like, they've also kind of made those tours happen, and it's fucking nice, man. And I just think that there's a belief in music as a culture and people as artists over there that over here, it's just like, you know, I understand it, man, but like, you know, bands take bands on tour because of what the numbers say.
100%.
You know?
Yep.
I mean, that's just what it fucking is. And like, so yeah, you know, I might get a little bummed for a minute when I see like a band I'm friends with, like take out some band. I'm like, oh man, you know, like be nice if they don't us, you know, but I'm also like, this means money and this means assurance. And there's not a headlining band in the fucking world that's not concerned about their draw. You know,
Oh
like,
yeah, man, definitely. Yeah.
It's their fucking, you know, Coliseum was like, it's their life, you know, it's their money, it's their fun, it's their everything. So everybody's fucking concerned about that. You know, you want people at the shows. And so taking risks is not really part of the game. And I understand that. It's like, I run a fucking business that sells t-shirts online and I can't take risks. You know, it's like,
sure.
I'm like, I can't put the money down to stock your shirts on the shelves if they're not going to sell, you know, and that's, you know, we're not going to sell a certain amount. And like, that fucking sucks because there's all sorts of shit I love that's not going to sell a lot of shirts. And, but you know, I don't, you know, that's just how it works. So it's the nature of trying to make things happen. So I try not to get too concerned with that.
Nomads of Prague. Did they
Yes.
drive one of you guys had them for transport on a couple tours over there?
Yeah, they did both the Fotocrime tours. They've done every tour I've done since 2008, maybe. There was a long tour that was Converge, Integrity, and Coliseum on a nightliner. And Shepitz, who's one of the owners of Nomads, he was the tour manager. He basically only tours with Converge, Shellac, and Neurosis.
Oh wow!
Anymore. And like, he's been kind of like the home base for those guys, and he just became, I don't know, man, just became home base for me. You know, like, let me stay at his house, drives me to the airport, like, takes really good care of me. And there's no financial reward. Like, yeah, I rent the van and gear from him, but like, you know, not for much money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like they do it because they care, you know, and they make money elsewhere, and so they treat people that treat them well. They treat them that way, I'm sure. And so there's him, and there's Thomas Mladek, and there's just all these people involved with that are very good people, you know.
Did you have a driver named Andra by any chance?
I've never had Andra, but he is, I know him.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. I forgot which tour he drove us on, but he drove, we rented from Nomads at least once over there, and we got Andra, and he's a great guy. He was really cool.
Yeah. I mean, they've been amazing. They've stored stuff for me for years. I mean, they store, right now I've got a guitar and a pedal board and a bass and like all my sleeping shit. Like, basically my goal is to, when I go over to Europe, to just bring my clothes.
Yeah,
and not have to drag all the other shit. And they hold on to all that stuff. And I told them with the first Fotocrime tour, I was like, yo, we tour with these 2 huge PA speakers to power the drum machine. And they bought similar ones.
Really?
For us to rent.
Damn.
Yeah. And so they rent them to other bands, but like, he basically was like, okay, this is what you need, I'll get it for you. And he did. And it's pretty fucking crazy because there are these 2 huge, like, stupid PA speakers that, you know, like nobody really needs unless you're, you know, you're doing like front of house sound. So yeah, it's really cool, man. They've also been instrumental in my life as a musician for sure. So
you and I are both big movie fans. Did you get a chance to check out Mandy?
Of course, yeah. I've got the Blu-ray sitting in front of me. Actually, that's awesome. Yeah.
Did you like Beyond the Black Rainbow as well?
I do. I really like Beyond the Black Rainbow. I love the score to that movie, and I have the LP and the DVD. But I also thought it was a little like, I don't know. You know, those kind of movies, like a lot of them are slow. You know, they're not always like totally engaging the whole time. And I kind of felt that Beyond the Black Rainbow suffered from that a little bit.
Yeah.
And I feel like Mandy kind of got it all right. Like,
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy as fuck. It's like really visually interesting and beautiful, but it's like funny and freaky and like kind of has it all, man. You know, the score was really fucking good. Like, yeah, it was a good movie. It played only one night here in Louisville, and I got to see it in the theater, so it was good.
Yeah, I like to think that it's going to pop up again, like at BAM or something in Brooklyn, or it's some. It really had a very. I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it on Amazon actually.
Okay.
When it came out, that you can rent it, so I rented it. But yeah, I hope someday to see that on a big screen, just because for the visual presentation of it, And,
yeah, I feel like it'll come back around. It's going to be a movie that sticks for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage, I thought was, great in that film. And it's tough because he's in a lot of movies now. And I just think that he needs a very special director to get performances out of him,
Absolutely, man. I mean, I feel like that's true of so many actors. I mean, whether it's like De Niro, like any of those guys that were like, A-list guys, and then they've got mortgages to keep up and like kids to pay for and shit, so they just keep doing whatever kind of indiscriminately. It's like when they have those great moments, you're like, man, why can't they fucking do this all the time? But it's just, they're not people who are in control of their own destiny, really. It's kind of weird. It's like you take the opportunities given. And yeah, it was rad to see him do something fucking crazy. Like, it was nice to see, like, it's kind of like Kurt Russell or people like that. Like, they've got it in them. It's just having that right moment to be like, okay, here's a fucking great movie for this guy, Yeah,
and a great director too. I mean, like
right.
Panos Cosmatos, I think just has like a vision, and
yeah.
There's a few directors that are like that. Obviously David Lynch, he's got certain films, certain actors that he works with well and certain that he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. David Fincher's like that too, I feel like. He's
right.
He has a very distinct style and makes very distinct demands on the actors,
Yeah.
But
I really like I don't know, I didn't say his last name, Jeremy Saulnier.
Yeah.
He did Blue Ruin and Green Room. Like, his newest one I thought was a little bit of a misstep. It's a Netflix original. What's it called?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, it's called Hold the Dark. Maybe it's a great cast, but it's not as good as those other two. But I thought Blue Ruin and Green Room were both like incredible movies.
Yeah, both of those I've seen, and I enjoyed both of them quite a bit.
Yeah,
and the Green Room is definitely. I've always felt like I've been really close to having that experience, actually.
Yeah, man, for sure. It is one of the most tense movies to watch, because I'm just like, I feel like I've been so close to this. Like, there are certain things like that. Like, sometimes I have this feeling that, like, I've never been to jail, been arrested, but sometimes on tour, you just have that feeling of like, I could be arrested at any moment. Like, any number of things could go down. Like, someone could like throw a glass at my head and I jump in the audience and smash somebody, and next thing you know, I'm in fucking jail or whatever. I mean, life, anything can go down. But sometimes movies about going to jail and like definitely shit like that, like crazy things happening in a club like that, are just like, yeah, man, I feel like I've been so close to this,
Yeah, definitely, like, especially like in places like Pennsylvania and,
right.
And like out in like the wilds of Oregon, and it's like,
yeah.
I got to say though, my experiences in Oregon, usually it's just Portland and Eugene that we play in. So we're not out in some trailer in the middle of nowhere, you know what I mean? And and those people are generally, very progressive minded people,
Right. I haven't gotten too deep into the woods out there.
No, definitely not. But Ryan, thanks for taking time out. And this is, my first episode of the year. And
nice.
Yeah, so I'm excited that you could be part of it. And I look forward. Good luck on that tour, man. That sounds great. It sounds really interesting.
Yeah, thank you.
And once again, congratulations on all the good stuff with Fotocrime.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Great to talk to you. It's been too long. I really, really appreciate it. It's rad.
Just off the record now, are you doing anything in the U.S.? Like, are you playing in, the Northeast or the tri-state area or anything like that?
No plans. It's kind of like, I don't know. I don't, we've done like New York twice, and we've kind of done it all twice. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I guess I'll kind of wait till there's like another record, and like see if anything comes up. It's all kind of like, could do it, but like, there's no real reason. You know what I mean? There's the fun, but like, I feel like right now I really got to write a record to get anything else happening with the band.
Yeah, I was kind of going through that last year. It's like in 2017, we were on the road a lot, and I didn't write any material at all. And this past year, 2018 was a real challenge for me in a lot of levels. But I wrote a bunch of stuff, and then just in the last like couple of weeks around the holidays, I just really started producing, and I was like pretty excited about that. But yeah, I don't feel like we got to get that kind of ironed out before we do any kind of significant, travel or anything.
Right. So what was going on with you last year?
Oh, just a bunch of different, like a lot of it's like career related stuff. A lot of it's financial stuff. There was like some upheavals in the band, just things like that. And, just finding a way through that. It's like, just try like similar to you, just trying to stick it out and not succumb to certain financial challenges. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just getting creative about ways to like make a living and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But
sure.
Before I forget, if you have like some choice tracks that you want me to use as intros or outros, and also a couple of options for photos, that would be cool.
Okay.
You could send those over to me.
For sure.
And
I'll do that.
This will go up on Monday because tomorrow's Friday, and no one really. Friday's a bad day to release stuff.
Right.
At least in this medium,
Right.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
All right, man. Well,
thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your.
Soon.
Yeah, I hope to, man. I feel like every time that you've been through New York, I haven't been able to come to the show, and it's like it's a drag because I really wanted. I was thinking about me and Randy Larson. I think he went to your show in Boston, right? I want to say that Randy went to that.
I don't think so, because that last show in Boston, there was like a crazy ass storm. Because you talked to me about you guys possibly coming up.
Yeah, me and Randy were thinking about driving up to that because there was once again, there was a reason why I couldn't see you in New York.
Yeah.
And we were like, let's go to the Boston show. And Randy's like one of these guys he'll drive like, he has no problem driving. I mean, he lives in the middle of nowhere, so he'll drives everywhere to shows. But I know I didn't go, obviously, but I guess he didn't go either. So
I don't remember seeing him. Yeah, it was like crazy fucking storm the whole day. It was a fucking nightmare of a day.
That might have been why we didn't go, actually.
Yeah. That would be why, for sure. But yeah, man, I hope so. And yeah, let me know if you're coming through here, of course. I'd be rad to see you either way.
Hell yeah, and even Evan's got a lot of cool stuff going too, man, with JGL and it's...
Yeah, I mean, Evan's kind of his shit's going pretty well, it seems like. I mean, he and Emma got married, and he's on her record, and so they've been touring nonstop, and they're about to just go like crazy again in a few months. It's like he tours with her, and then he tours on his own. Young Widows does a short tour, and it's just kind of like I think he's feeling a little bit of like the weirdness of like, all my dreams are kind of coming true in terms of touring, but like it's so fucking hard,
yeah.
He's texting me in Europe. He's like, man, all the drives are so long. And I'm like, yo, but you're not driving, and all the shows with Emma are sold out.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm like, don't fucking lose perspective. I'm like, in the States, we all drive forever, and we play to shitty shows. I've driven 13 hours to play with 13 people a million times in my life, so don't fucking cry when the show's sold out, So,
yeah.
But he's doing good. I mean, people are digging what he's doing, so it's cool.
Yeah, I should catch up with him. I saw him like this is at least over a year.
Okay.
Because he was when Pelican played in New York. I want to say that JGL was on that, and that's where I saw Evan.
Cool.
Yeah, and and once again, like you and I I feel like stay in better touch, but I'd like to reconnect with Evan at some point.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Then you should, for sure.
Yeah. All right, man. So Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, you too. Thanks, Mike.
Take care, Ryan. Bye.
Later, dude.